Hey, so today we are reviewing Pathless. In the universe of the Pathless, the island was enveloped in a dark curse that destroyed all people. Many tried to recreate the situation on their own, but no one returned alive. All hope is for the last hunter, a girl with no name, who will try to return the light to the island and defeat the God Slayer, the villain who captured the gods of this fort and put a spell on them. The Pathless was deployed by Giant's Squid Studios, which released the underwater adventure Abzu. Studio creative director Matt Neva was the artist director of Journey at that game company. Both his past project and the new one are somewhat similar to the famous Journey. Excessive beautiful locations, freedoms of movement, simple and intuitive controls. At the same time, the Pathless moves away from the Journey formula a little farther than Absu, and only benefits from this. To see the enslaved gods, whom the villain managed to thoroughly brainwash, you need to clean each of the 4 regions of the fifth. To do this, you have to find stones of light and bring them to several towers. Then get ready to face the god, defeat him and remove the curse from him and from the territory. In training the heroine, find a special mask that allows her to scan the area for points of interest. The eagle helps to track objects and hover above the ground, and with a bow the hunter moves faster and solves puzzles. The gameplay of the Pathless lives up to the name of the game. There is no map or sign points. Climbing higher and activating the mask, you see a red smoke, something useful awaits here. In some cases, these are the very stones, but there may also be critical that increase the number of swings available to the eagle. The more of them, the more often during solving it will be possible to climb higher in order to reach hard to reach places and stay in air longer. Thanks to this unnecessary exploring location is exciting. These are huge territories with a bunch of secrets. Bonuses almost never lie on the surface and require you to solve a riddle. Either stand at a certain point and shoot at object in the right order, then shoot an arrow through the special number of rings. There are riddles with mirrors from which arrows bounce, and often they are combined with the need to light fires by passing obstacles. Sometimes the puzzles are simple and their solutions are obvious, and sometimes it takes a couple of minutes to think. However, not at all collectible items require collecting to complete the story. After defeating the boss, a still appears into which they often to insert extra stones, and there are more of them than I thought. The heroine moves in an unusual way. In the normal state, she just runs slowly, but as soon as she fires at the artifacts hanging in the air, the stamina scale will fill and the characters will able to accelerate. After that, it remains only to shot at all the artifacts in a row. Without slowing down the pace, there are plenty of them here. It's much more fun than running from one point to another, and when you combine it with flying and jumping, you risk missing the target altogether, getting carried away by the gameplay mechanics. You try to stay in the air for longer, jump while hovering, shooting at artifacts, thanks to smooth animation, and convenient control is too difficult to stop. The only sad thing is that sometimes the game takes away all these possibilities. There is always an area covered with the fifth in an infected region. If you want to get there, you need to run into it and complete a primitive minigame with an eagle recry. The bird flies off the 2 dozen meters from the heroine, and she must reach her without catching the eyes of the monster and remaining motionless if light falls. Inappropriate stealth sequences very often spoil the experience of good games, and in the Pathless they also look unnecessary. Perhaps this is an attempt to diet the gameplay, consisting of puzzles and moving around the map, but there was no need for such interruptions. It's completely different matter battles with bottles. Those same Ansel's gods divide into several stages. They are some of the most exciting and beautiful episodes of the game. There are chases, archery, accomplished by luxury special effect and unique mechanics that are not used in the open worlds. The game, which is already a pleasure to the eye, reveals all its cards at the moment, and you will immediately recognize the work of the artists who paint amazing schools of fish and memorable underwater scenery in Absu. Much attention is paid to the disclosure of the universe. Although in the plot itself the characters are laconic, the environment does all the work of them. You constantly come across messages left by the dead people. Some try to hide from the curse, someone killed their colleague. You learn more about the past of each region by reading the inspiration on the steels. These are not long notes on two sheets, but small notes, and the locations themselves can tell a lot without words. But with their various destroyed buildings and corpses and skeletons in almost every room. The Pathless offers a lot of freedom of action, not only throwing surprise in the form of new puzzles, but also making the journey from one point to another fun. If Abzu attracted mainly by the visual side, then there is too difficult to find fault with the gameplay, except that the Steel's episode strongly contrasts with everything else and seems superfluous. A beautiful and cozy adventure for a couple of nights, a great opportunity to escape from tons of autumn blockbusters.